Welcome back to part 2 of our 7 strategies for effective professional learning presentation. I was able to pull up that Songs for Teaching website that I was telling you about that you can find under the green tab on your live binder. Look at all these great areas that it has songs in these areas. If I click on math songs, there's all these sub areas, and if I click on a sub area, there's even more sub areas. All kinds of wonderful songs to use. And like I said, the lyrics to the songs are free. You see here you've got the lyrics to the songs. If you want to listen to the song, it'll play a snippet for you, and then you can download the song and it can be yours forever for 99 cents. So it's real affordable. But remember, using music when we do professional learning with both adults and students triples the power of our instruction. So I'm going to click over to our PowerPoint now. And we're going to go to strategy number 2. Number 1 was music. Number 2 in our itty bitty strategy book is going to be procedures. Procedures. Let me change my display settings real quick. There we go. Now, some people would say, oh, when you're working with adults, you don't need procedures. You only do when you're working with students. And any of you that have worked with adults or tried to train adults know that that is not the case. So we know that we need to engage the adult brain, or the adult brain will engage itself. So some ideas for getting people's attention. If I was there in the room with you, I would be using a chime. And when you were doing work time, I would ring the chime once. I'd give you a few seconds to wrap up your conversation or wrap up your thought, and I'd ring it again in about 5 seconds. And I always tell my groups, if they're quiet by the second ring, I'll tell a hilarious joke. Or you can do whatever you'd like to get them excited about giving their attention. If you like the chime, I got this from trainerswarehouse.com, which is the blue tab on your live binder. I also like this little gadget called the attention getter. It's got 3 sounds. Here's the second one. And the third. So those are kind of fun. But the thing I like about the attention getter is you can record your own sound for the 4th sound. So maybe you have a student that wants to sing the school fight song or give their own message, and then you play that student or that staff member's message to get people's attention. The attention getter can also be found on trainerswarehouse.com. I don't care how you get people's attention, but we do have to have a procedure for doing that. And you know, the best way in the classroom is the evil eye. So I want you to turn to your neighbor there in the classroom, and I want you to give them your best teacher evil eye and see if they've got a good one. This kid in our next video is going to be a great teacher. He's got it down. So he's got the evil eye down. No matter what procedure you choose, just make sure you have a way to get people's attention. Strategy number 3 that I want you to write down in your itty bitty strategy book is movement. We've got to get adult learners up and moving. They say that when we teach our students that we can have their attention span is 1 minute per their age. So like if they're 5 years old, they can pay attention for 5 minutes and then they have to get up and move a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot of movement, but when we sit, our blood settles in our seat and in our feet, and it drains out of our brain and we can't think as clearly. But if we take about 6 steps, it pumps that blood back up into our brain and we can think clearer. So it doesn't have to be a lot of movement, but if they're 8 years old, they have 8 minutes of attention and then they need to get up and move. Now I'm 47 years old and I cannot pay attention for 47 minutes. So I want to give you a little bit of time there in the classroom to talk about how long you think the adult learner can pay attention. Talk amongst yourselves. How long do you think the adult learner can pay attention? If you all said 20 minutes, that's about the max, 20 minutes, and then we need to get them up and moving. So I've got some ideas on your live binder for you under the tab called Interactive Icebreakers, and we're going to go over those. But the first thing I'd like to do is play a game with you called Just Like Me. This is a game I like to play with my adult learners when I first meet them, to get to know them and kind of get them up and moving. So I'm going to make a statement, and if it's true about you, I want you to stand up and say, just like me. Now I'm trusting that you're doing that on the other side of the screen. So here we go. I was born in a state other than Kansas. If that's true about you, stand up and say, just like me. All right, you can have a seat. I have been to a concert at Intrust Arena. Stand up and say, just like me, if that's true about you. All right, you're not going to have to show them, but the next one is, I have a tattoo. Who's got a tattoo? Stand up. You don't have to show them. And last one, I married my high school sweetheart. Who in the room married their high school sweetheart? So as you can see, just like me is a fun way just to get to know people quickly and to get them up and moving. Another great way is on your live binder, also under Kagan, which is the yellow tab. There's these great team building chips. You can find this. If I was in the room with you, I would give everybody at the table a team building chip, or I'd let them pick one out themselves. It has questions on them, different ones like, what's the craziest thing you've ever done? What are you most proud of and why? What are your best attributes? So there's a different question on each. And I would have each table, I would say that is your family. The table that you're sitting at is your family, and I would have them each answer their talking chip question for their family. And it's a great way to get people, lower their nerves and get them to meet each other, and all kinds of fun things to talk about. And then I would have them, I would play some music, because we talked about playing some music. I usually play the song Staying Alive, or any kind of fun song from the 50s or 60s, and I would tell them to get their seasonal dates sheet out, and I would tell them that we're going to make some seasonal dates. Now this is the other sheet that Dr. Burke ran off for you, and you'll see that there's a snowflake for their winter date. There is some summer flower or spring flowers for their spring date. There is a sun for their summer date, and there's some falling leaves for their fall date. And I would play some music and I would say, go around, and I'm going to ask you to do this as well. I'm going to give you some time, and I want you to make a summer date and a fall date. And I would tell them, don't date your family. You can't date the people sitting at your table. Don't date your family. So I want you to get up and make dates with 2 other people. So you would go up to somebody and say, hey, would you be my summer date? And they'd say, sure. And you would write their name under your summer picture, and they would write your name under their summer picture. So later on, when I said, hey, it's time to find your summer date to do an activity, you would find that person to work with. So right now, I want you to take some time to get up and walk around and make a summer date and make a fall date. And don't date your family. So take a few minutes to do that. And you can pause the video if you need more time. All right, after you've made those dates, I want to go over your interactive icebreaker packet, which is also on your live binder. It is the red tab, and I want to talk about some of these ideas. These are just ideas to get those adults up and moving. Remember, 20 minutes, and then they have to get up and do something. So the first one is called the inside-outside circle, and you have an outside circle and inside circle. Once again, you play some music. The inside circle goes one direction, the outside goes the other. When you stop the music, you ask them a question, and the people that are paired up answer the question. And for students, it can be a review of content that you've covered, or it could be just a way to meet each other. Turn toss I like, and these are all described in more detail in your packet. You have the adults stand in a circle around you, and you ask them a question, like what is your favorite restaurant to eat at in Wichita? You give them all some think time, so they have to come up with an answer. Then you toss them a ball, and the person that catches it has to answer the question. Then they become the person in the middle. You take their place, and they get to ask the next question and toss the ball. Crossover is a good one. And if you're following along in the packet, you can see these. Crossover, you have two lines of people. You ask them a question. If it's true about them, they cross over to the other side. If it's not true about them, they stay where they're at. Like, who's got a Facebook profile? If they got a Facebook profile, they would cross over, and if not, they would stay where they are. Just a fun way to get up and moving and to meet each other. If I was there with you, which I wish I was, I would have us do some of these games. Pig personality profile is kind of fun. You have all the directions you give them is to draw a picture of a pig. You don't give them any more directions. And then they draw it, and then you do this very highly research-based analysis of their profile. For example, you tell them the bigger the pig's head, the bigger their ego. The longer they made the pig's tail, the longer the person's memory. So it's just kind of a fun little activity. Numbered heads together is a great activity to play with adults. It's detailed in your packet for you, so I won't go over that one, but it's a fun one to play. I do want to talk about find the fib or find the fiction. You tell people 3 facts about yourself. For example, I'm going to tell you 3 facts about me, and you have to find the fiction. Number 1, my dad drove a lawnmower across the United States of America. Number 2, my mother was shot off of a toilet. Number 3, I've had a hole-in-one in golf. Only one of those is not true. I'll let you discuss among yourselves and figure out which one of those is not true. My mother was shot off a toilet. My dad drove a lawnmower across the United States of America. Or number 3, I've had a hole-in-one in golf. If you guess the golf one, you are correct. I have not yet had a hole-in-one in golf, but I will one of these days. My mother was indeed shot off of a toilet. Oops, I'm sorry, that's my phone. Let me turn that down for a second. What happened was my parents were young and just married and living in an apartment complex. They lived in the upper apartment. My mom, the man she was using the restroom in the upper apartment. The man downstairs was cleaning his shotgun in the restroom. I don't know why, but it went off, shot up through the upper apartment, and kind of nicked her leg, but she's totally fine. She hates that I tell that story, though. My dad did drive a lawnmower across the United States of America when he was 18 years old. It was a publicity stunt for the man who created the Virginia Wonder Mower. It took him 2 weeks. I think he was paid like $700 for the 2 weeks. He drove from sunup to sundown. They had to replace almost everything on the mower by the time they got to Washington, D.C., but kind of a fun story. But you could start with 3, they call that find the fiction or find the fib or 2 truths and a lie. It's described in your packet. You could start by telling a story about yourself and then have each adult learner tell one about themselves, like after break or at the beginning of another staff meeting or the beginning of next time's in-service day. So just a fun thing. And there's some other activities in that packet for you. I don't care how you do it, but please remember to get people up and moving so their blood is getting up to their brain as much as possible. The next strategy is relationships. Now, here's the brutal truth. Absolutely no learning takes place in the adult learner's mind unless there's a relationship. It's just like our students. They don't care what we know until they know that we care. And the 2 excuses that we give for building relationships are that we are too busy and that there's not enough time to do it. So I'm going to show you a quick video that dispels both of those excuses. This is the 2003 NBA playoffs, national television.